Eine edle Vorstufe? Hm? Nein. Nein. Oh. Eine digitale Vorstufe? Nein. Eine kleine Vorstufe? Klein? Nein. Eine richtig gute? Profi-Vorstufe? Nein. Nein. Eine Röhrenvorstufe? Ja. 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 Hello dear all, I am back. The madness comes to you. So, as you know, I already have a preamplifier in my fingers, I don't know how to say in English. I want to say, first of all, there was a question in the comment. The question was, do I really need a preamplifier? That's a very good question. If you have only one device, let's say you listen music via a DAC, and the DAC is your device of choice, and you connect the DAC directly to the FM300A end stage, and you are fine with choose your volume here on these knobs. Sure, a good way to go. It's definitely okay. But what is if you have several more devices, like you like to listen to LPs, you have a tape deck, you have the DAC, and you have a CD as a CD player, then you would like to choose, of course, the source. Yeah, of course, the source. Click, click. One thing I wanted to say to this kind of like DAC or CD player that have a fixed out and a variable out, where you can do with the remote plus minus the volume up and down. You should try the sound comparison between your variable out. If you use this RCA output jacks with the variable sound volume, some or maybe most of these devices, this output is, the sound quality is not so good. It's a bit inferior. Why? Because the output through the fixed RCA jacks is just the sound that the product produces, is the raw sound signal, but the output through variable, it has a very small operational amplifier, op-amp, inside to regulate the volume, and these op-amps are not the best. There is normally something cheap in, because it's just a goodie, a freebie, you can say. It's just additional small thing. There's not much care and attention on this variable output jacks. So it's not recommended to use these if you would really like to enjoy the sound of your device. No matter if it's a CD or if it's a DAC, the volume regulated RCA output jacks are inferior in dynamics, in resolution, not the best. I would not recommend to use this. Better to have a preamplifier. Good. I really spent a long time to find the best preamplifier to the FM300A. I did look at many preamplifiers. I did buy several ones, as well as this one here from Doug Audio. I also bought finally the Musical Paradise, this MP701, and actually I'm about to finish the next speaker build. I actually wanted to finish this, but since there were quite some people who asked me what is the best preamplifier, I thought I will do the video about this preamplifier as soon as possible. I really took a lot of care and many months in research to find you a really good preamplifier. The Doug was not bad, but it has some drawbacks, and yeah, finally I found this MP701. It already has a certain circle of fans, a fan base, you can say. Yeah, and this video will be about this preamplifier. So you may ask, how did I come to Musical Paradise? Well, some time ago, last year, Thorsten from Snake Oil Audio, he mentioned that the perfect sound of a digital analog conversion is when there is some tubes in the conversion stage, because tube can give some natural sound to some digital harsh sound. Yeah, so in that time I was on the search for a DAC with tubes, and on my search I found there is this Musical Paradise DAC that now unfortunately is sold out. Yeah, good things are sold out recently. But I tried to find it, and in my search I also contacted Thomas Stereo. I don't know if you know Thomas Stereo, but this is a channel I really like. Thomas, he's very sympathisch, nice guy. And he gave me the hint, if I really want to have a good sounding tube DAC, the Musical Paradise is quite good. I think I heard something like this is a €1,000 device playing in the €5,000 range. Wow. So I got interested in Musical Paradise, the company itself. And now finally on my search for the perfect preamplifier for the FM200A, I really searched a lot of devices for that. I remembered back, there was this Musical Paradise thing, and I thought, why not try this? Yeah. So I have this Musical Paradise here, and I can test it for you. I want to tell you something about hybrid amplification. When I had Sebastian from Regensburg to visit me, we did listen maybe 2 hours on the Petit, very intensive comparison between the FF125 driver, Fostex, and the FA103. And we did mostly listen via the tube amplifier, the old Gen 845. And he was also curious about the sound of the FM300A. So I switched and we connected the FM300A to listen. After 2 or 3 songs, we both immediately agreed the sound is... Let's go back to the tube amplifier. Why was that? Because the solid state amplification, I think I did plug the Cambridge Audio DAC right into the output stage. It sounds perfect. It has punch, it has drive, dynamics, but it's a bit harsh. Yeah, it's a bit harsh. And when you listen 2 hours very intensively, you will become quickly tired. Your ears, not this one, will be a bit exhausted, and then you really prefer the tube sound. The tube sound does not exhaust. It has more, it's just smoother. It feels more natural actually. Yeah. This is why many people, I mean, it's not a secret. Hybrid amplification is for many the way to go. Hybrid amplification, preamplifier with a tube and an output stage with solid state. Why is that? Because if you do a purely tube amplification, you will always have some compromises. I personally love single-ended tube sound, but the problem is the wattage, the power is always limited. Yeah, you have limitations. Tube amplification means a limitation in watts, means a limitation in the speaker, range of speaker you can use. But with a hybrid setup, like a tube preamplifier and a solid state output stage, you have a tube sound, but you have the power of the solid state. You are not limited with the choice of speaker and whatsoever. This is why hybrid amplification is for many the way to go. I would like to tell you now the criteria after those I did choose this device. Yeah. First of all, I have to take a look on my paper. Yeah, I think most logically the sound quality is number one. Yeah, we don't need to talk about the amplifier if it doesn't sound great. This amplifier has already a fan base. So we know it sounds very, 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 very good. I would say criteria 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12 is sound. Yes. Criteria 13, 14, 15, 16 are coming up. The next criteria I want to mention is the company. I don't go for a big company. Why would I go for a big company? Let's say Accuphase. Yeah, you have to pay the name. Only the name that it's written on it, Accuphase, is already it will higher the price tag. Yeah, the price tag is just many people love Accuphase, so the moment it's sticking on it, it's expensive. You pay for the name. The other problem with a big company is a worldwide acting company, like let's say Sony. They produce in big masses. The developer who will say which transistor, which whatever part will come into this thing, he has a controller watching carefully not to take the most expensive. They will have controlling, they will say, oh, we must buy a big mass of parts, let's take the, we have to save money. The moment you go to buy a product from a big company, there are so many compromises. Then second of all, as you know, the product quality itself, everything, most things are made in China, but very important is the quality control of the production. Since it's an Canadian company, the build quality is a result of an Western quality control. As you know, every iPhone comes from China, but there's no doubt about the quality of an iPhone, I guess. So here is the same. When I look at it, it's absolute marvelous. Everything is sturdy, heavy feeling. The thickness of the cover is 3 millimeter. This is really, the weight is very good. No sharp edges, smooth, everything wonderful. You can see with one look, that's perfect. The price is vernünftig. It is vernünftig. What is vernünftig in English? It is reasonable. It is a very reasonable price. What you get for what you pay. This is actually one of the most important criteria, is the reasonable price. Yeah, the next thing, there is no voodoo electronics. When I see some amplifiers, this is a print board full of electronic chips. I mean, the signal going in there in comparison to the signal coming out cannot be the same anymore. Yeah, when you send a signal into such kind of many chips, this is like a computer. Yeah, one of the most important criteria for me is a very clear circuit layout, where I see as a circuit that is a short signal path with not too many components that will diminish the quality of the signal. Yeah? And this is exactly what we have here. We have here a very clear circuit layout, circuit concept. The next point is that the layout of the whole device is after high-end thinking. Yeah? That you take space for all the parts that are necessary. Yeah? Maybe some people will see this preamplifier and think, wow, what this huge box, are you crazy for a preamplifier? So big, why that? I know many preamplifiers, this is a little boxes, everything is crammed together. If you want high end in audio, you must give space to all the different components. If I cramp together the power part and the signal part into a small space, of course, the power transformer will it radiates. It has a magnet, it has the spools. I mean, they speak over. There's the pollution, and you will hear it in the signal. You need to give all the single parts its space and separate them and encapsulate them and do walls in between. So in that case, as bigger the preamplifier or as bigger the device, as better. But of course, you must do it right. I mean, just big is not good enough. In the case of Musical Paradise, I think I figured out after contacting some people that there is the developer, Gary, who even reacts to your emails. When you send an email to Musical Paradise, when you have a question for a device, he will personally answer you. And I think this is a very, very good criteria for a company where you know that a good developer who has a very good knowledge about the sound, makes great product, is behind the scene and taking care of the things. I think this is for me, gives me the safety, the feeling of safety, that I have a good product and I can have, my questions will be answered. You cannot get something from that, like that, from a big company. Yeah? There you are just anonymous and a nobody, and there is maybe a hotline, but yeah, very difficult. Shall we have a look inside? I think it's time to open it and have a look inside. It has 3 feet. It's quite clever because it can never kind of have problem with standing, but it has the problem when you kind of lean here, it will. Here in the front, no problem, but the back you cannot lean. It will. Okay. But good idea. I like it. So. Sehr schöne Schrauben. Ist alles sehr ordentlich gemacht. Gefällt mir gut. Very nice screws. It's well made. Tja, wie gehst du auf jetzt, mein Lieber? Haben wir hier noch ein Schräubchen? Nein. Oh. Oh yeah. Seht euch das an. Ja, also das sieht ja wirklich schön aus. And the power part is completely isolated on the bottom. And that looks huge, humongous. Must be quite powerful. The thing must be really... So, now we have a look inside. Wow, this is really clearly laid out. The circuit is very simple. Not many other, the light reflects here so much. And the first thing you notice immediately is you have here the 3 tubes. These 3 tubes are the signal amplifying tubes. And these 2 tubes you can change in parallel. Also if you want to roll tubes, these 2 must always be the same. But the 3rd tube you can do the same, but also the other, a different one, to influence the sound. Yeah? And what is really interesting is you can see here are the capacitors, and it's obviously that these are the coupling capacitors because they connect straight to the output, cinch output. There are some screw terminals. That means you can open the screw terminals and change the capacitors. What does that mean? That means if you want to influence the sound by changing the capacitors, you don't need to solder and anything. You just open the terminal. You get a different capacitor like a Mundorf or a Janssen. Danish Janssen sound very bright, or a clarity cap or a Jupiter cap, whatever. And you can just stick it in, connect it, and you have pimped your preamplifier according to your taste. Of course, when you do that, you must wear some good rubber gloves, yeah? Because there's really the capacitor has the voltage, yeah? Must be very careful. Yeah, and there you see some switches. You see here's a switch. Here is 12.6 volt or 6.3 volt. That is the filament voltage of these 3 tubes. So now I have 6.3 volt tubes in. If I want to change this to, let's say, 12 AU7, for instance, that would need 12.6 volt, so I can replace this, but I can switch here the voltage. Yeah, that's very cool. That means you have really a lot of tubes you can put in to influence the sound. Yeah, you have a big variety of tubes you can use. And here's another switch I see. Okay, 6x5 or 5AR4. Yeah, so this is the rectifier tube. Due to this switch you can actually use many different rectifier tubes because you can change the switch. Also very cool. Normally people will use the soldering to change the capacitors. Here you can just open it, change. Oh, cool. But I must say, the first listening to the device as it comes out of the box, super. I don't have the feeling I need to change something. Yeah? I just changed these 3 tubes. I used some Russian tubes instead of the installed Chinese tubes. But also with the Chinese tubes, it had already a great sound from the very beginning. Here in the front, we see the volume knob with the motorized. Here's the infrared receiver for the volume control and the volume potentiometer itself. Yeah, I think this is really, you can really see the layout is after high-end philosophy. Everything is separated, parts, groups are separated, very nice, lovely. Good. So let's take another look into the internal layout of the PreAmp. There you can see on the top, these 2 switches were on the right side. You can change from 6.3 volt to 12.6 volt for the amplification tubes. And on the left side, you have the switch for the rectifier tube where you can switch from 5 to 6.3 volt, if I'm not wrong. Then the very top region is reserved for the power supply, and the a bit wider part on the bottom to the right is for the signal path. But these 2 Banach capacitors on the left side still belong to the power supply. These are so-called bypass capacitors that give some speed to the power part capacitors additionally. On the right side you can see the coupling capacitors, which are very interesting. They can be changed by screws and they have a direct influence into the sound. And the last thing I want to show you here on the right side are the dip switches. With these you can alter the output gain in 4 levels to have a good compatibility with different power stages. These features make the MP701 so ideal to fit it to different power stages. Then I'll show you the details. We have here in the front a volume knob. Has a very satisfying feeling when you turn it. It's not easy. It's also not too heavy. It's perfect. I like it. Then we have on off. We have infrared receiver, and we have the source selector. And when we turn the thing, so we can see here massive, beautiful RCA jacks. Really, wow, this is like Canon. Looks like the cannon of a ship. You have here 3 inputs, 1, 2, 3, and the third input number 3 has as well XLR symmetrical inputs, but this is not a real symmetrical. It is just so you are able to use your XLR cable if you want. And you have 2 parallel outputs, RCA outputs, so you can also send the signal into 2 separated amplifiers. This is also very handy. And as well XLR output, but this is not a real symmetrical signal. It's just so you can use XLR cable if you have some. Very nice. Let me finally describe you the sound of the MP701 Mark II Musical Paradise pre-stage. As you already know, we have here the hybrid arrangement, and that means we enjoy all the positive things of a solid state amplifier with punch and with power, but we also enjoy the sound, the goodies of the tube sound. What does that mean? The tube sound will deliver us the typical wonderful three-dimensional rendering of the sound, and it will remove some harshness. Yeah? The first example how good this works, I want to mention the song Slave to the Rhythm from Grace Jones. When I hear Slave to the Rhythm on one of my several amplifiers, I have a lot, the biggest problem is the song itself is actually really great recorded. There is a huge three-dimensional stage. It's perfect. There are many different instruments going on around in the space. It's the recording itself is absolutely superior. But the big problem is Grace Jones' voice has so aggressive, this kind of zzz, you know, the zish. It's when you listen it on some digital system, it really hurts you in the ears. You need some protection. This song is really a great recording with a huge bass fundament and a huge space that can really give you goosebumps. But Grace Jones' voice is so aggressive that I need earplugs. This preamplifier, it amplifies the stage. It defines so clearly three-dimensional space, the stage, depth, enhance the depth and the width. This song sounds with this combination unbelievably great, but Grace Jones' voice is tamed. It's still bright. It's still endlessly cool. But this harsh, I don't know the English term. I must check the English term. My English is so horrible. The sibilant, you know, this sibilant sounds or noises from Grace Jones' voice in this song are wonderfully tamed by the tube with the MP 701. When I hear the song, I have this immense bass fundament vibrating through the room, and I can still enjoy Grace Jones' voice. Perfect example how this pre-stage turns something really difficult into a great enjoyable piece. The second example I would like to bring is The Carnival is Over from the group Dead Can Dance. And when I listened this song the first time on the FM300A end stage and the DAC directly plugged into it, I could hear when he was singing, I could hear there is a certain harshness. It was, everything comes fine and clear and perfect, but it's a bit harsh. Yeah? And when I add the MP701, his voice really gets this wonderful body that makes you enjoy it mostly. Yeah, the moment the MP701 is between the DAC and the end stage, the FM300A, you don't think about anything harsh. It has the space opens up, and his voice becomes vivid. He's there. You have really this great feeling of the tube amplifier. When I played with the 845 tube amp, it has 2 times 25 watt. I also have a really vivid experience, but the punch is missing. With the FM300A, I have now the punch, the power. But the MP701 delivers this wonderful live feeling tube sound in addition. I think the best way to characterize the sound of the Musical Paradise MP701, can you imagine if you want to bring 2 very extremes into one, like, what can we say? Let's say Iggy Pop. Everyone knows Iggy Pop, yeah? You know his voice. Can we say it's a grater? Yeah, I mean like cheese grater. Yeah, when Iggy Pop, when he sings, He's really the opposite of something smooth, I guess, yeah? And we take Iggy Pop on the one side and we take Louis Armstrong on the other side. Can we find that into one harmony? Can we harmonize it together into one? Yes, we can. With the CD Shaken and Stirred, it's a CD with Bond songs, and the Louis Armstrong song We Have All the Time in the World, sung by Iggy Pop. I mean, is this cool? Who has the idea to let Iggy Pop sing a Louis Armstrong song that is especially as nice as We Have All the Time in the World? It's so cool. If you play this song, the CD is, by the way, a really good example of recording. I love it. It has an orchestra in the background, and Iggy Pop's voice has such a charisma, such a character. Yeah? Played with this combo, with this hybrid setup, the MP701 and the FM300A, this song really gives you the goosebumps perfect. You just lean back and enjoy this old cheese grater's voice, Iggy Pop singing so smooth and with such a musicality and pleasure, singing We Have All the Time in the World. I think even Louis Armstrong would love that. Yes. The musicality the MP701 creates due to its circuit layout, its ability to change tubes. You can customize it in so many ways. I mean, everyone knows tube rolling, yeah? And you can customize the capacitors. This is a wonderful playground. This vibrant sound that gives instruments and voices, bodies and vividness together with the FM300A that has this strong mids. Perfect match. It's a wonderful perfect match. Sure, the MP701 can drive other end stages as well, but these together, I want to make clear, I am not a hi-fi channel where you can have every 3 months something new and I will find then the better again and the better again. Now, I think I will concentrate more on building loudspeakers, because there, for me, there is more interest and more variation. But this too is for me the end game. I think with this too, or the old Gen 845, it's an integrated amplifier. What do you need more? Yeah, I hope you enjoyed my characterization of this pre-stage. Yeah, if you have questions, ask me in the comments. Comment if you know the MP7 on by yourself. I'm always curious about your comments. And thank you that you took your time to hear my blabber, my crazy talking. Thank you to be here. Bye bye and see you the next time. Let's talk about the criteria. I did look for this. Let's talk about the criteria. Let's talk about the criteria that I did choose for me, that are important to me, which these I... Okay. Gut. In medias res. FM300A Semiconductor. Und ich bin schon wieder da. Yes, 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 yes.
Yes, yes, yes.